Hi guys, welcome to the Darkness channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. Dinner was served and we were all sitting in the dining room. It was quiet except the background noise of the TV show playing in the living room. I looked down at the bowl of soup I had in front of me. The steam warmed my face. They were chopped vegetables and what looked like chicken. I started eagerly eating away, which earned me some weird look from Nathan and Helen. They were all eating slowly and politely. And there's me. I haven't had a home-cooked meal in a very long time. The chicken kind of tasted weird and different. But I hadn't had chicken in a long time either. I guess being away from your mother's home-cooked meal really does have an effect on you. I finished the bowl and thanked Anne and the rest of the girls for dinner. Anne and Colin both exchanged weird looks, but I shrugged it off. I felt a judgment and I'm not sure why. Thanks again, I said politely and sat up, pushing my chair in. Thanks for the meal and shower. I leave now. I started to head towards the door. Wait, Blake! Colin stood up and walked towards me, placing her soft hand on my shoulder. We don't want you to leave so soon. Why don't you stay the night? You shouldn't be sitting out in the rain much longer. You'll get sick. Colin sounded concerned, and her words were all jumbled together. It seemed like she really didn't want me to leave. Oh, if you guys don't mind. We don't. Just please stay. Colin smiled and the rest of the girls continued to eat. I walked back toward the table and waited for the rest of the girls to finish eating. After dinner, I offered to help Anne load the dishwasher and clean up. I thought she would say no, but she actually let me help. She was really quiet and it seemed like she didn't want to talk that much. I loaded all of the dishes and Anne put the leftover in a Tupperware container. She handed it to me and asked if I could find a place in the fridge to put it. I grabbed the soup and opened the fridge and placed it on the middle shelf. There were some objects or meat wrapped up in a tin foil, but I didn't question it. It was oddly huge in size and took up most of the back of the top shelf. And noticed I'd been staring into the fridge for too long, and she walked up to me. That's the pork roast I'm making for tomorrow's dinner, she politely said, answering my internal thoughts and questions. Thanks for helping clean up. She smiled and then looked at the floor and frowned. Something definitely seemed wrong with her, but I was afraid to ask and have her say everything's fine. That's what most girls do anyway. They say they're fine when they're obviously not. I heard some rumbling noises, but I couldn't tell what exactly where it was coming from. I walked out of the kitchen and sat on the couch next to the girls. Anne was cleaning around. She was wiping down the dining room table. She took out the trash and she went back in the kitchen to mop the floor. She seemed like she needed to keep herself busy. "Need a hand?" I asked. She seemed surprised by my question, but she silently shook her head. "I just want to thank you again for having me stay here. It means a lot," I told her, and I mean it. It seemed like Anne really didn't want me to be here for some reason, but I think I know why. She doesn't want her nice home to be open to strangers and homeless people. I bet that I was making her uncomfortable just by being here. But she smiled at me. "It's only a temporary thing, okay? You shouldn't be here. I mean, you shouldn't be here too long," Anne told me. I was confused for a second. I wasn't sure what she meant by that. "I promise I'll be gone tomorrow morning," I told her, even though I didn't have anywhere else to stay. She looked worried and a little sad by my response. In her eyes, it looked like she truly felt bad for me, but she had to stand her ground. And if kicking me out of her home makes her comfortable, then I will leave. "I'm really sorry. I don't want you to think I'm a bitch. It just, my sisters, She stopped herself sharply before taking a minute to rephrase herself. "They don't like company." That's okay, I understand," I responded. She held pity in her eyes when she looked at me. It looked like she had more to say, but she decided to keep it to herself. A few hours had passed by, and everyone looked exhausted. I was tired too. The girls had gone in and out of the shower and already dressed for bed. Nadine and Helen yawned as in cue and got up. "I need to go to bed. I might have work tomorrow, and I'm not looking forward to it." Helen laughed and waved at me. "Good night, Drake, is it?" "Blake." I laughed and she laughed too, while saying, "Oh, sorry." "Well, good night. See you tomorrow, I guess." And she walked somewhere upstairs. Nadine and Colin also went upstairs, and it was just me in front of the TV. Anne got out of the shower and looked at me. "I'll show you where your room is. Sorry that they didn't show you," Anne said quietly, and I told her it was okay. The TV was shut off, and so were some lights. It was completely dark. She led me all the way upstairs and all the way to the furthest room down the hall, to the right. It looked like it hasn't been touched in years. She opened the door and it showed a decent room. Everything was red, kind of what the color scheme is, I'm assuming. Red bed and sheet set. Red curtains, but the carpet was white. There were also white walls and a white nightstand and dresser. "Well, good night," Anne said and shut the door. I walked over to the window and pulled the curtains back. It was a far view from the ground. Not too far, but still pretty far. I began to wonder what I'm going to do for the next couple of days. I know these girls won't let me stay forever. They're probably just going to drop me off at the same place I've always been at for the past couple of weeks. Staying here and taking a nice warm shower, changing into clean clothes, and eating dinner has been a luxury for me. I kept hearing a rumbling sound, but it was muffled now, and I couldn't hear it as clearly as I did earlier. Maybe it's something up with the plumbing? I didn't know what it was. I shook it off and slowly drifted off into a peaceful and comfortable sleep. I woke up and expected to be accompanied by the bright morning sunlight to be gleaming through the windows, but it wasn't. I looked at the alarm clock on the nightstand beside me. It was midnight. How have I only been sleeping for a couple hours? I just couldn't seem to fall back asleep. I thought that I would be out like a light since this have been first bed I have been sleeping in for a while. But I couldn't fall back asleep. I got up and shuffled across the dark room and flicked the light on. I left the room but was sure to be quiet and not to wake any of girls. After using the bathroom and washing my hands, I walked back into the hall. My hand wrapped around the doorknob to the room I'm staying in, but I decided not to go in. Maybe I need a glass of water. I continued to be as quiet as possible as I trailed down the stairs and past the living room and dining room and finally entering the kitchen. It was eerily quiet. I could hear myself breathing. I grabbed a glass from the cabinet and walked over to the cooler. As I was drinking the crisp water, I heard rustling in movement. It sounded like a raccoon or some other animal got into the basement. Then, that's when it happened. I heard a thud, and it helped me. I was so frightened that a glass of water slipped out of my hands and smashed against the hard kitchen floor. I didn't know what to do. That was definitely another man's voice. It didn't sound like any regular cry for help. It was pain. You could hear the pain and agony and death even in their voice. And I was frightened. I was frozen, but I wanted to run and scream. But I couldn't. I stared at the door leading to the basement. I was terrified to open the door and investigate. Then I felt a presence behind me. I turned around, and there she is. Anne. "What are you doing in here?" she asked me and looked terrified even. "How did she get there so fast?" I don't know. I was just getting myself a glass of water. My mind couldn't even process what I heard. I didn't want to remember it. And hurriedly cleaned up the mess of the broken glass and mopped up the water. If there's anything I've learned about Anne during my short stay here, is that she despises a mess. I think you should go back to bed now. before Colleen comes down here," and gave me this look like she was praying I would just obey her order and run upstairs and hide under the cover. But why? "What? Okay," I whispered back and walked back to the room I was staying in. I definitely couldn't fall back asleep now. I pulled the covers over me and just stared up at the ceiling. Somehow, I managed to fall asleep and I woke up early in the morning. I walked downstairs to see the girls rushing around, getting ready, probably leaving for work, and was dressed up quite professionally, and I couldn't help but admire her. Her red hair was curled into spirals that rested on her shoulder. I wonder what she does for a living. "I'm a student teacher at the elementary school," and replied as if she just read my mind. "That's great," I said. It was weird pretending that nothing happened last night. She kept looking at me. I guess she wondered if I was still thinking about last night even. I definitely was, but I wasn't going to say anything. "You can hang out here today, okay? I know you didn't sleep much last night," and spoke softly. "Will you leave after dinner tonight?" I was beyond grateful and didn't accept this offer from Anne. I smiled and nodded my head. "Of course, thank you so much," I replied. "Yeah, of course, I will see you later," Anne said with no emotion. Soon the three girls left for their jobs. I was thankful that I wasn't home alone. Helen was still there, sitting on the couch. We got into small talk, and she explained to me that she was babysitting a lot, but she happened to have no calling today. I considered getting a job. Then I could save up my money and get a place of my own one day. "I was wondering if you would like to help me around the house," Helen asked while standing up. Her short hair was flat and she wore a minimal makeup. She was wearing a light wash skinny jean and tops, and a dark purple sweatshirt. "Of course," I replied. These girls were so nice. I would take any opportunity I can to repay them. "Great! Okay, so I have to gather all the laundry in the hampers to take down to the laundry room downstairs," Helen said, and then beat the side of her lip in thought. "And maybe you can help take the trash out. Nadine would be thankful if she didn't have to take it out today." She laughed and I nodded. "All right." So I went to the kitchen and took out the garbage and put a new bag in the can and pulled the garbage to the curb. Throughout the day, I've just been helping Helen clean and she played some music on the TV. "I'll make us some lunch. Thanks again for the help." Helen got up from the couch and trailed into the kitchen. I heard the fridge open and shut a couple times and plates were set on the counter. I just continued to watch the television screen with the music station channel on. playing some laid-back rock song. I watched as the music icon moved from spots on the TV screen. I couldn't stop thinking about what I heard last night. Did it even happen? Was it just a dream that seemed way too real? I didn't know what to believe. Thanks for staying till the end. Please subscribe to more stories.